Hello everyone, this is Candice with Eclectic Coach. Be sure to hit the like, share, and subscribe button as well as the notification bell if you want to be notified whenever I make content. I'm trying to be more consistent with this, but sometimes I get a little interrupted. But I wanted to make a video today about developing a soulful approach to networking, because sometimes we go into the whole process with, I think, kind of the wrong attitude. At least I found it to be the wrong attitude for me. Either I've been afraid to engage in networking experiences just because it felt like too much, or it was like, am I being too grabby? And there's a bunch of different kind of thought processes and approaches to networking. I think it was Grant Cardone. I got one of his books, and in it was like, when you go to a networking event, what I want you to ask yourself is, who's got my money? And on one hand, there's a side of me that likes that thinks that that's kind of interesting, like, and maybe I don't want to say waste your time with people who nothing's going to develop from. But at the same time, it's like that doesn't always feel very soulful or genuine or connected. And so I just wanted to get into how to create networking experiences where you have connection and there's meaning and it's soulful, and it's not necessarily what can I get from this and who's got this to offer me, but it's based more on genuine connection and common interest and seeing what you can create together. So I've just created a few steps that you might find helpful. One of the things I think is really important is, before you go into the event, to really get centered before you even go in. To clear your head, pause for a minute. If it feels right to you, pray about it. Get your mind centered so that you can be present, because it doesn't feel good, when you go to an event and somebody is talking to you but kind of looking over you, trying to see who the next person is that they can go talk to. That just doesn't feel good. So get yourself really grounded and centered, and you might want to write down so that you can refer to it and you don't have to do it every single time, but 10 of your strengths in terms of what you bring to the table and what you're bringing to this connection with whoever you might genuinely connect with. And then also skills that you bring to the table. There's this book that I really, really like. I think it's by Dan Sullivan, and it's Who Not How. And you got to check it out. If I can, I will provide a link in the description of his. It's called an impact filter, and it's about finding people who can do what you need to do that you're not so great at. But in order to be effective at this, you really got to be clear on what your skills and what your talents and what your abilities are. And to know that, especially if you have some sort of social anxiety, that first of all, the evaluation is going both ways. So it's not just like people are evaluating you or you're just evaluating them. It's going both ways, and it's being really clear on what you have to offer. And when you have that really centered within yourself and you've gone over your list of your 10 strengths and your 10 skills that you have to bring to a connection, then you can just relax and be fully present and curious. And so starting with curiosity, I think, is the best approach to making connections. So you're not coming at it desperate, like, I got to find somebody to do this, or I really need to sell my services or sell my stuff. And you're able to just be curious about the people that you're meeting and create those genuine connections based on curiosity and having things in common, such as a common vision for something you would like to see in the world, or common values for what you think is important. And focus on genuine connections. So it's not about being popular and getting everyone to like you. It's about, who are my people? Who do I resonate with? Who does it feel good to kind of be around? and who do I enjoy talking to, so that you're not out there like, what can I get? What can I get? Let me tell you about what I have. And that just doesn't work. And then you kind of leave feeling empty, or other people feel kind of, like, okay, you were a little much because you were really selling it hard. And you don't need to do that, because this is about creating connection, not about some sort of competition. And also be yourself. And so knowing what your strengths are allows you to kind of show up and just relax, like I said before, and be yourself. People love genuine vulnerability. So we think sometimes that we have to be perfect and have everything all together. And I'm not saying that you need to intentionally like trip or drop something or whatever, but if that happens, statistically speaking, they've done a lot of studies on this. People love people who are just authentic and who show vulnerability, because we all have vulnerability, and it makes you relatable, and it makes it easier for people to connect to you. With that being said, don't be too self-deprecating. And I wish I could remember her name. I love her so much. She's a social psychologist. She has a lot of really great stuff on YouTube. I'll mention her name in another video, but she says, gush, don't gossip. So don't go around gossiping about other people, but gush about what you like about them, because studies have shown that if you say bad things about people, even if they're true or funny in the moment, those negative qualities kind of get stuck on you. And that's what people remember about you. Maybe not that you were that way, but in the back of their mind, people wonder, like, are you going to say crappy stuff about me? And then they feel less comfortable in your presence, and then they don't trust you as much. And so part of having networking be effective in enriching your life and enriching your business, it's all about like trust. And so if people feel like, I don't know if I can trust you because you talk all this crap, and then you smile at the person and you seem really nice, you probably do that to me. And then they also kind of block you in a certain way to their networks and to the people that they really care about. And so trust is really, really important. So another thing is actively listening. So one trick that I really like when doing active listening, because I used to just talk about myself too much and say too much about myself, or I felt like I was always listening, and this is when I was much younger, like fighting for the floor. And I wanted to know what was going on in people's lives, but it didn't seem very interesting, to be completely honest. And I was in my early 20s when I learned this. I learned it at a hospice care volunteer class, because they were talking about the importance of really being able to be present for the dying and just listen to them is one of the best gifts that you can give them. And they said, focus on, as you listen to their story, imagine it as if you were there, and that way you can ask lots of questions, like non-invasive, not too rapid. So you're going to want to match their tone, match their pace, and ask them just stories and imagine it as they're talking, so that you are interested in their story and you're able to genuinely empathize with them. And that was just a game changer, and that really helped me become a better listener. And people can tell, like, when you're faking it and you're not really listening and you're just saying, like, people can tell, and it just doesn't feel good. So eventually people will say, tell me about you. And then they give you, they're more likely anyway to give you their full attention. And if they don't, then that says something about them, and you might want to just kind of note that. But this way you're being genuine and you're actively listening and nod, and you kind of start to naturally attune to their body language, and you're not doing it in a manipulative, agenda kind of way. You are naturally kind of getting into the flow. So because of that, you're going to want to gear towards people who are in a good place emotionally and who have energy and who are magnetic, and because that's also going to kind of wear on you, especially if you spend any length of time talking to them. So another thing is to find ways to help people without expecting anything first. So knowing what your skills are and kind of being aware of what you can give away for free with absolutely no expectation of how or when or who or in what form it's going to come back to you is a really great way to go into the event experience. So it's great to have generosity, but let's be clear, we've got a lot going on. We all live very busy lives. There's a lot going on in the world. So if all you can really do is just muster up the nerve to show up, do that. You know, sometimes you're sitting in the car and you're like, I don't know if I have the mental energy just to even be around people. Go in, make an appearance for a few minutes. You don't have to stay forever, but showing up is more than half the battle. So show up. And if there's something that you enjoy doing and you're like, I'm not really meeting people who are interested in this, create an online forum, create a class, online or in person. Sometimes we have to create the kinds of experiences and hobbies and interests and opportunities that we want that aren't there. So if there's something that you want, create it. And the next thing is to study things like body language and emotional nonverbal cues, because this can help you really understand the undertone of the conversation. And we say so much more with our body and our cadence and our energy level sometimes than we do with our actual words. So becoming proficient in this area, if you're not particularly good at that, because not everybody is great at reading facial expressions. Not everybody is super skilled at being attuned to other people. So if you're not, just watch some YouTube videos and learn. And then that way you'll feel more comfortable in the experience, especially if you struggle with being shy. And you don't have to constantly self-monitor. The goal is to just show up, be yourself, and let the connections happen authentically where they're going to happen. And follow up thoughtfully. So one of the things that is helpful and important to do, rather than handing out your business card or something like that, collect business cards and have a follow-up strategy, meaning put it in your calendar in your phone. I'm going to email these people, have ChatGPT create a follow-up correspondence letter that you kind of tweak to make genuine and legit after every single one, and then continue to follow up, ask how they're doing, ask really good questions too, like, are you working on anything interesting, or what are your big goals for this year, or what are you passionate about right now? Because if you just say, how's your day, how are you, what do you do, you're going to get less than genuine responses, and that's hard to connect to. But if you listen and you ask curious questions without judgment, and I forgot to add this piece, this is really important, try not to judge. So just try to listen and take the information in and then reflect later. But in the moment, just be fully present, non-judgmental. It doesn't mean don't be discerning. If you're getting like a bad feeling in your stomach, you can go to another part of the room. You can go to another part of the space. You can politely be like, yeah, it was great to meet you. And then, get somewhere else. But in the moment, let's say you're starting a conversation and you're talking about, my kids go to this school. Oh, that's great. Yeah, so did mine. They went there through middle school. Oh, did you have this teacher? And you're listening and the vibe is good and then they throw in some other interesting TMI information about their marriage or something, because people do that. They'll like, when they feel like they're being heard, they sometimes forget where they're at and they throw out some interesting information. Don't judge them. Just everybody is where they are, and in the moment, just be a good listener. And follow up thoughtfully, meaning make a special note about each person, maybe when you get back in the car or on their business card, and then follow up asking about that particular thing. And if you have other events that you go to or know of that they might like, just send them a quick little, hey, I found out about this event, thought you might really be interested in this, check it out. And that way you're adding value. And find mutual growth opportunities. So look for ways to collaborate. So think collaboration versus competition. And don't compare yourself to anyone else. Everybody is on their own journey, but find ways to collaborate, create, and connect. And really emphasize those shared goals and those synergies and opportunities in your relationships. And to foster the long-term relationships, maybe do it on a schedule. Like I said earlier, like put it in your phone, in the calendar, follow up with these people on a regular basis. And I hope that you found this to be useful and helpful, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.